and welcome. I'm Mimansa Verma. Infibeam Avenues, a key player in the India's fintech space, has reported a consolidated net profit of rupees 38.3 crore in the September quarter, which is 191% higher year on year. However, the standalone net profit fell by 24% on year to rupees 35.5 crore. We have Mr. Vishwas Patel, Joint Managing Director of Infibeam Avenues, joining us here to break down the numbers for us and tell us what lies ahead. Hello, sir. My first question to you is that the 191% rise in profit is adjusted for the one-time notional gain, as we saw in the press release. Why is it added to the net profit this quarter?
So overall, it has been a fantastic quarter. It's the highest ever quarter that has been till now. Our overall gross revenue has increased to about 789 crores in one quarter, just a little shy of $100 million in a single quarter. The net revenue also has crossed around INR 1 billion for the first time in a quarter. So there's a strong growth in the operating profits and margins, and the net take rate also, if you see, is more than 9.3 bips. It's increased from last quarter significantly. So overall, the daily merchant addition also almost like 2,800 merchants a day we have been onboarding, and almost a million, 10 plus million merchants now. So overall profitability, everything is growing very well, Mimasa. And this one-time take was adjusted from the last year, but overall, if you see the all-round growth, it's growing significantly.
Right. So if you could elaborate a bit on that, because other income has fallen 92% on year. So where is this hit coming from? If you could just elaborate it for our viewers a bit.
Yeah. So the other income, basically, there are multiple this thing exact figures. I don't have it right now, but the overall there is platform business, there is payments business, and then there is cash on hand, where there is certain interest that comes on the cash that we keep generating.
Okay.
Off the hand, I don't have the exact figures right now, Mimasa. So, but yes.
But if not just the figures, but if you could give a rough sense on where is it coming from, or if there's anything that you would want.
So as I said, the significant cash that we have on hand, the interest component coming onto that one, right? There was a one-time notional gain on our investments in DRC and others, which has been adjusted against us right now.
Okay. The operating expenses have also jumped up by about 70 to 75% on you. So where is this hit coming from, sir?
So the overall, there has been significant growth. So when we are onboarding like almost 900,000 merchants in the last 9 months, there's a significant growth going on in the employee expenses also. Even the transaction processing, credit card is the main one. So the expenses, operating expenses are increasing in that way.
Okay. So, you have mentioned that 51% contribution is coming in from credit card payment options, which led to an increase in gross take rates. And there has been an unprecedented onboarding of small merchants. If you could give a sense on what are the payment options that the small merchants are using, because we have had conversations about RuPay credit cards linked to UPI. So if you could elaborate on what are the payment options that these merchants are seeing.
So overall, when you see the credit cards that we are powering, this quarter, we processed on a monthly basis around 10,500 crores of credit cards every month. So if you see from an overall perspective, around 11.1% of the overall country's online credit card transactions are processed by us. Right, and credit card has good margin. There is no zero MDR or other things that is there, right? And there is a huge uptake of credit that we have always been focusing on options that really makes sense. So that's what the credit card uptake is there. Of course, net banking and debit cards is also growing for us, as well as UPI. So small merchants also, because the real focus remains there, India in the heartland, because if you see, the ability to pay has been sorted, the ability to collect has to be focused on. So continuous increase in the merchants, the ability to collect is where the difference comes in.
Okay. So generally speaking, what is your sense on the RuPay credit card? And there's been a lot of chatter about, MDR on RuPay credit cards which are linked to UPI. So what is the sense that you're getting from the market and from the customers? Are merchants willing to get onto RuPay credit card on UPI, or what is the conversation around it?
So I think it's an ecosystem you have to understand, Mirman sir. The first thing is that RuPay credit card issuance is still low. It's still low in a sense that the NPCI is working on both sides. One is on the issuance side, where more banks start issuing it, because the overall percentage is less than 10% compared to MasterCard and Visa. So that they have to increase on the issuance. When there is issuance, then the transactions will increase. On the acceptance side, there is right now through the UPI on credit card, which customers first have to link it to their UPI and use it. So the acceptance part is sorted, and there is no challenge in MDR on RuPay on credit card, because it has the same MDR credit card that is there on a MasterCard and a Visa. So in fact, a little better also today. So UPI on credit on the acceptance side is perfect, and we are all working towards. We have enabled it. We are working further to enable it across all our ecosystem. The acceptance part is sorted. The more card issuance starts, because we have seen a significant push by the government and NPCI with the issuing banks to issue more RuPay credit cards.
So what are the sticking points that the merchants are facing? Because we wrote a story around it, and these merchants people that we spoke to, they were saying that they would not want to have a hit on margins, or for the bank itself, they would not want to have an additional cost. So what are the sticking points that you see happening right now? I understand that it's
I
still
think
early.
the only sticking point here right now, what we see right now, is the merchants, the way they calculate. Since it's accepted through UPI, the mentality of the merchant is that any transactions going through the UPI is going to be zero MDR, right? So if a customer is paying, choosing a UPI and then paying through a RuPay credit card through UPI, the mindset that the merchant agreeing to a credit card rates of 1.6 to 1.8% of the transaction is where the sticking point is. But I think with more education and with more audience coming in for the merchants will see value, and the same value that today is derived from a MasterCard and Visa credit card, the same, they will also see the same value in the RuPay credit card, because we should remember that there's a huge credit offtake in India. And I think it's an aspirational card for many salaried guys who want to buy high-end phones and others. So it makes it necessary for the merchants to even start accepting RuPay credit card on UPI. So it's already happening. I think it's already, the whole ecosystem is enabled right now. I think as the issue increases, then automatically you will see very rapid increase in numbers, just like how we saw in UPI and other things.
Right. Okay, fair enough, sir. So if you look at the unit economics, there was this slide on the investor presentation as well. The total payment value considered for the calculation of take rate, which is the commission, to put it simply, it stands around 65,800 crore rupees. But this is excluding the payments volume from UPI and Bill Avenue. So how does the payment net take look like if we include UPI transactions which have MDR?
So UPI transactions, there is currently zero MDR, and we have not booked anything that the government is paying, because if you today see from UPI, it's not the merchant who's paying the MDR. Government has come out with certain schemes where, last year was 1,350 crores was sanctioned in the budget. Last year, 1,500 crores, and this year around 2,600 crores that has been sanctioned in the budget. So out of this, 2,600 is distributed between the ecosystem to pay. Like our peers like Paytm and others have booked the UPI revenue. We have not booked any UPI revenue. So if it's a zero MDR, we are not counting in the payment take rate right now. If and when the banks do share us a portion out of that, then we will certainly put it in this thing. We will put it, we'll calculate that revenue also in the UPI. But as of now, we are just looking into this. As far as Bill Avenue is concerned, Bill Avenue is a very different platform and a payment. There is a very flat fee that is decided by NPCI, which acts as a central operating unit for every kind of a vertical, be it electricity or aqua tax or property tax, other things. So there is a different calculation. So you can't take that as in the take rate in what a general payment processing that we do on the payment systems.
Okay. Okay. All right. Understood. So the company is yet to receive UPI dues. What are these dues that Infibeam Avenues is talking about? If you could explain it for our viewers.
So dues is something where, as I told you, the amount that has been sanctioned, like this 2,600 crores in this year's budget, which the Honorable Finance Minister has sanctioned for the ecosystem, that is given out by the finance department, the finance ministry to the different banks who acquire these transactions. And part of that, the banks, the acquiring banks have to share with the ecosystem players, because if you know the real work in the growth of UPI has been done by the ecosystem players, because you see the figures, right? That today, if you look at all our private members, they have done almost like 96 or 98% of the UPI processing in the country, even on the issuance side as well as on the acquiring side. The figures are released by MPCI, right? So even from our payment gateway perspective and others, we have processed a lot of UPI transactions, but the benefits that this thing is still not come out. It's not perpetuating. We are talking with the ecosystem players, including the finance ministry and NPCI, to have a very specific margin set aside when this incentives are passed down the line. But as of now, since we have no insights on with our acquiring bank, how much they are going to show, so we cannot quantify whether they are going to give us 5 bips or 10 bips of the process volume. So Mimasa. So once if something is crystallized and very clearly mandated, then it becomes very easy to do it. Till then, that's hence we have not recorded any UPI revenue for the last 2 years.
Okay. Okay. So coming down to CBDC, Infibeam Avenues has been the first online payment player to process CBDC payments on retail side. So how is the response right now, and what is the ratio of retail and wholesale if there is something happening there? But what is your visibility on mass adoption right now, and what are the conversations around CBDC?
So I think the CBDC focus right now is mostly on offline. They have started some pilot projects on wholesale and others also, which is live right now. But as far as the online beat is concerned, it's still in a very, very initial phase, because it's merchant transactions. I'm not at liberty to share it, but it's at very, very inception phase, because the whole adoption, the whole what do you call the value proposition that a CBDC gets in a typical e-com transaction is still to be derived both by the merchant and the consumer. So I think it's very initial days right now, but yes, we were the first to process CBDC transactions online, and we are waiting a full-fledged proper launch, RBI approval to go it. But the focus right now from the central bank is on wholesale and retail in-house customers. So it will take time for this to do it. But I see a very promising future, because it is a large number of use cases that CBDC can definitely solve. And the big, large cases will, of course, be when the CBDCs of other countries, when they are launched, cross-border remittances, where India today is the largest receiver of remittances in the world, almost $100 billion per year, right? It can make a huge cases. It can mitigate costs, and it can have faster remittance cycle.
So whatever transactions have happened so far on retail, like you said, it's in a very early stage right now. Have you seen any interest from NRIs sending money back home? Any remittances on digital rupee, anything of that sort?
Right now, it's still in initial stages, Mimasa. We have not seen too much significant uptake. because the value proposition is still to be derived, and it's divided. It's dependent on a lot of other ecosystem, because you have to map our CBDC with the other CBDCs that are launched. Like say UAE is also in its what do you say beta stage of launching its CBDC. Same goes for UK, which are the prime markets where the money flows come into India. So it's still initial stages. The whole platform and the testing, everything is done. Once it picks up, it will really zoom.
Right, right. So RBI's target of pushing 1 million transactions per day right now is not looking achievable by the end of calendar year. It will still take some time.
No, there is a use cases, Mimasa, as I said, in the offline world where they are testing it right now, where people can, using the CBDC app, convert from bank account to CBDC and then pay the merchant, and that the whole ecosystem is getting prepared to accept this kind of a thing, because once it's already happening. A lot of cases, some numbers are already announced by Reserve Bank of India on what is already happening in the offline world. Since we don't have a very significant presence in the offline world, so I don't have too much insights on how fast it is scaling. But looking at the numbers, I think it's doing it quite well, and I see it going very multitude, where there is a very particular use case coming in, which can really, amplify the numbers that are currently being reported by RBI.
Okay, okay. So coming to the last question, you mentioned in the analyst call that you're working on a plan to encourage merchants to accept credit cards. So that will actually lead to higher usage of credit card and MDR-based TPV for Infibeam avenues. So what is the visibility on that? As in, what is your expectations from the MDR-based TPV, and what is the plan? What is the strategy?
I think strategy is that we already announced last year when we said that Tap Pay is something that we will be launching. So today, if you see maximum, when you go to the small carts, food carts in the market and other things, what you are just seeing is a QR code. QR code is just a UPI debit to your bank account. There is no credit acceptance, right? How do we make it easy? So that's how what we launched last year, and now is just anybody, any small kirana shop, even in the tier 4 city, or say 100 kilometers outside Guwahati in Assam, right, or in Orissa somewhere deep, can just like how on his phone is downloading a YouTube app or any other app. Here he can just download the CC Avenue app, do online KYC within a minute, and go live and start accepting not only the QR based UPI, but credit card, debit card, and all the other different options that are there, without any investment in actually printing a QR there, or putting up a 10,000 rupee terminal to accept credit card and debit card, nor the problem of supplying them paper rolls or battery problems in that POS terminals, or explaining to them. So these are very simple app-based things where, today a street vendor is just accepting a QR code, UPI based, which is a debit mechanism. Here, through this app now, which we have launched, they'll start giving credit. So that's how we are trying to take on the offline world. The traction has been significant. So in less than a year, we are reporting more than 3.5 lakh downloads and other things. So it's quite positive, and it's quite. We think that that's the future. Technology will morph the entire current way the credit card acceptance is happening, and it's a differentiator from what the other players are offering in the market. So we are quite gung-ho about our omni-channel Tap Pay app, which is already there. And I think even the merchants find a lot of value, where in a single omni-channel app, they can see their website transactions, their app transactions, they can see a lot of this things. A lot of this things is there. So a lot of benefits that they are seeing right now, they can. This omni-channel app solves that with a whole range of payment options that they can accept.